What's up, you guys? I recently changed. Is it my nose, my eyes, or my ear? No, okay, never mind. You just read the title, so it's about my teeth. In this little video, I will explain you my journey on how I closed my gap teeth with rubber bands. Since forever, I always had a huge gap between my front teeth. If you want to see how my teeth were before, you can watch one of my previous videos. So here in this video, I will show you the before and after footage. I will also explain where you can find those rubber bands, how to put them on and how to integrate them in your daily routine, how long it takes before you see any results, the different methods of putting them on, the struggles or side effects that you may encounter, what specialists had to say. And besides all that, there are also other alternative methods to close your gap. So stay tuned for that! Okay, but before we get started, let me put this straight in words you will probably remember the best. It is your own responsibility, and it ain't my fault if you mess up your own teeth. Okay, so let's get started. So first of all, where can you find those rubber bands? Most of the YouTube videos will tell you that you can use the goodie bands from Walmart. If you have Walmart in your country, well, good for you, but here in Europe, they are not really active. Otherwise, you can buy those goodie bands on Amazon or eBay and let it ship it over to your place. However, I did not use the goodie rubber bands. I used the rubber bands from Claire's. At least this chain is active in 36 countries and has 3,469 stores around the world. Now, chances are big that you have one nearby. At Claire's, a little bag has 100 elastics in it, and it costs around €3.50 or £3 in the United Kingdom or $4 in America. But you have to watch carefully because there are different sizes and colors. Obviously, you will take the transparent elastics, but you do what you want. So you have the really small elastics and you have the middle-sized ones. The best is to take the small rubber bands. The smaller the better. But that's not what she said. So now, secondly, you are wondering, how am I supposed to get those rubber bands on? You have different methods, different techniques to put them on. I tried a little bit of everything, and I'm going to share 3 methods that you probably can use if you want to. So let's have a look at this beautiful drawing that I made. Now, I only used the 4 front teeth. One way to put the elastic bands on is to put one elastic here in front of those 2 teeth, one here, here, and here. So here you have 3 elastics between your teeth. Now the problem with this method is that you have an elastic here, you have one here, you have 2 here, and one more here and here. Now that means that if once that your teeth are going to move, they will never actually close the gap between those teeth because of that tiny little space of your elastics that are still in between of your teeth. So it will not be possible to really fully close. Now, there is another method. This is the one that I highly recommend. I'm not telling that it's the best option. One elastic in front of those 4 teeth. Afterwards, you put 2 or even 3 elastics over here. So basically, the difference between this method and the method before is that here you have just elastic here, elastics here, and one elastic here, but you do not have any tiny bit of elastic here in the middle. So actually you can fully close your 2 front teeth, and that's what happened with me. My 2 front teeth really closed in front thanks to the rubber bands. Oh, also, very important, the 3 bands are the same size, so it's not that the big one is a bigger rubber band than the other smaller ones. And then afterwards, option number 3. This option I actually never used because I thought about it once that my teeth were already in perfect line, so I actually never used this method. But I'm still going to share with you because perhaps it does work. I even think it's better than the previous 2 methods that I just explained. Now, what you do here is that you put one elastic band here over those 3 teeth, and you put one here And so here you only have to use 2 elastic bands, and because they are pulled through to 3 teeth, they have a lot more pressure than just around 2 teeth. Also, if you can put it in the down corner of your teeth, you can probably close those two teeth put together, so you can close this gap, and this gap, without having some elastics between those 2 openings of your teeth, so that they can fully close. Try it out. I also tried with those different methods, and I used the second one and it worked for me, so yeah, do whatever you want. The third topic that I want to talk about is the daily routine. Now, I kept those rubber bands on 24/7, so every day, every night I kept them on. The only time that I pulled them off was while eating or while brushing my teeth. Basically, you brush your teeth, you put them on, you go enjoy your life, then you pull them off, you eat, you brush your teeth again, and you put them back on. And if you're not careful enough, those bands will keep falling off while eating, so the best is just to pull them off. Also, besides, with the most slightly negative effect that those rubber bands would have in my daily life, or if my gums were starting to bleed, or a tooth that would turn black or gotten loose or anything, I would quit. I would really stop with those rubber bands. And luckily, I can reassure you that not one drop of blood has been spilled during that time that I used those bands. However, there is one slightly little thing that did happen. It's not that bad, but it did produce some anxiety. Blah, blah, blah. You will see, I will go into it a bit later. Going over to the next point, the struggles, and oh boy, I will try to keep it short. Your first time you put those rubber bands on, you will not really feel any different, just that there is some pressure on your teeth, and that you won't be able to pronunciate one word without spitting every single drop of saliva out of your mouth. Perhaps it's just me, I don't know. But after 3 or 4 hours, you will notice that there is a pain that will increase dramatically, and at the end of the day, it won't even be able to eat with that pain. So, if you want to do it, provide some pudding, soup, or ice cream, because you won't be able to eat. Also, drinking is actually not a problem, so drink a lot, make smoothies, whatever you want, but just do not bite on those teeth. The pain lasted for 5 days, and afterwards there was no pain at all. However, on day 25, the pain will come back. Another struggle is that your tongue, he's going to be a curious piece of shit, because he will touch every time those elastics behind your teeth just to feel if they are still there, and obviously it will always fall off, so you have to put them back on every time. If you decide to eat with those rubber bands on, it is possible, it is absolutely possible. Just watch out, because it is possible as well that you eat them. Yes, I did eat a rubber band twice. I wasn't really afraid of choking because those rubber bands are so small, but it was at my own risk. If tomorrow I want to jump out of a cliff, just how to learn how to fly, are you going to jump as well? No, I don't think so. So I'm just explaining my own experience here. Do not try this, because who wants to have this beautiful smile? Another struggle, perhaps the most frustrating struggle, was the first 4 weeks. The very first month you won't notice any difference at all. And the worst is that there are people that are going to say, oh yeah, I see a difference. Oh yeah, the gap is so much smaller, but it's all psychological, because I took a picture every single day, and you will see that the very first month, nothing happened. But you just have to remind yourself the very first week, the pain that you had, and it will remind you that it's actually working. So just be patient, and after the 30 days, you will see that almost every day your teeth are going to get more and more put together, and the gap will disappear. From day 30 till day 40, I literally saw every day a change, but you have to go through the first 30 days. Also, another thing, if you turn sick, what happened in my case, well, you have to sneeze, yeah, guess where it will stick? So gross. And at the end of the road, when your gap is fully closed, you still have to keep those rubber bands on until you put a permanent retainer behind your teeth. Because in a couple of hours, your gap will slightly come open again and it will go back into your original position. Now, and it's not in a couple of hours that it goes back again how it was, but it will open again. So it is really important that you keep every day those elastic bands on until you put something behind to keep those teeth at the correct place. I promised you that I was going to talk about one of the side effects that did occur when I was using those rubber bands. I showed you also the different methods. I told you the method that I used. It was the second one. I did stop after a while using the big elastic around the fourth teeth because, like I told you before, only after a month I started to notice that my teeth were moving and the rubber band that was beside the two outside teeth, those teeth were actually moving behind my front teeth. So wait a minute, I'm going to make a drawing. I'm talking about this rubber band that was around the full teeth. Well, actually what was happening, after a month I noticed that my teeth, so my two front teeth over here, well actually the gap was already almost closed, but I saw that those outside teeth were moving inside, so they were actually going behind those two front teeth. But the reason why was because my two front teeth were actually already a bit forward, so they had plenty of space to go behind those front teeth. Now, I don't know how your teeth are, but actually the best for me was just to use two rubber bands in front, those two front teeth, and that's it. And those two outside teeth that were going inside behind those two front teeth, well, after quitting with the elastic, they went back to their original position. So that's good. Moving on to the next point, where I had some advice from specialists, like I said before. Well, once my gap was closed, I was so excited that I immediately went to the dentist, and actually when I asked the dentist to put a permanent retainer behind my front teeth, she said that she could do nothing to help me. So I went to another dentist to ask the same thing, to see if they could put a permanent retainer behind my teeth, and the same happened. Actually, dentists here in Belgium cannot put a permanent retainer. You have to go to a specialist called orthodont. But they are known to be expensive as fuck. But I did mention to the dentist that I put some elastics around my teeth. They weren't really surprised. They just answered like, yeah, okay, it's good that your gap is closed, it's just you need a permanent retainer, but I cannot help you with it. But yes, the dentist never told me things like, oh, you're a fool, what did you do with your own teeth? Even though I think it's better if the dentist had told me that I had to go first on a checkup or something, because who messes up with their own teeth before going to a specialist or going to a dentist? Okay, I went to the specialist and I will tell you how much it costs and what she told me. The positioning of the two front teeth was already perfect because they were already together without any gap. To fix them, the specialists only had to put a permanent retainer behind those teeth. Well, I asked how much it would cost and it was 50 euros to fix the two front teeth. I was imagining a lot more, because I heard that the permanent retainer can cost 200, 300 euros, and here it was 50. And she can do it the day itself, because it will only take 20 minutes to put that retainer. We kept on talking, and she said, well, if you wanted to put a retainer behind the four of your front teeth, it would have cost you 150 euros, which is still a reasonable price. There were still some little gaps on the sides, like I told you with the incident that happened before. I did not use the rubber bands around the four front teeth. And the nice woman, when she was looking at my teeth, she said like, yeah, okay, it's good. If you want, I can just put a retainer behind your teeth and you're good to go. But if you really want the perfect smile without any gaps in between those side teeth, well, I suggest that you put braces just in front of those front teeth. And I was complaining about the price, and then she was like, whoa, chillax. You don't even know the price. And your teeth are good, you just have to fill in those gaps. I looked at her right in the eyes and I said, how much does it cost? And she said, man, it will cost you 350 euros. Oh man, I thought it would be like more than 1,000 euros. So I was like, woman, why are you still waiting? Put that thing inside my mouth. Man, 350 euros. I even thought that only the retainer would be 350 euros. Like braces and the retainer 350? Girl, you're crazy, but I like it. So that's why I've put braces on for 3 months. Actually, it was quite a good decision because it's more professional and I have lower risk to mess up with my teeth. You got the point. At the end, I choose for the perfect results and I went for normal braces like every teenager has. But I did try those elastic bands. But the moral of the story is that you should always have professional guidance behind it. You should ask advice of specialists and you should have consult a doctor or a dentist or whatever just to see if you can put those rubber bands or braces and check the prices because perhaps it's not that expensive, perhaps you don't have to adjust that much in your mouth. And the specialist, she just suggested to put braces on. She did not even force me to use braces. And last but not least, I promised you that I was going to show you some alternative ways to close your gap teeth besides those rubber bands. So you have the rubber bands to close your gap, then you have braces, professional braces, which I really consider using that option instead of the rubber bands. And also there is a way called cosmetic bonding. In that case, they just put a product between those gaps to fill in the gaps actually between those teeth. So at the end you won't have any gap anymore. I don't know if it's with silicone or porcelain, I don't know. But they enlarge in a way your teeth to close your gaps. But it should look all natural. So here you go. I told you a bit about my experience on how to close my teeth. I used 2 of the 3 methods, the rubber bands and braces. It should work. Everything can change. Thank you very much to watch this video. Like I said before, here you have also the evolution of my teeth. And I'm not a teacher because I cannot explain things well.